Grab a cup of coffee and get comfortable because this is one of the most shocking Real Housewives stories in a long time. Dorit Kemsley and her husband PK have been through a lot over the years, but nothing could have prepared her for what happened at 3 a.m. one night. She woke up to a 9-page email from PK, and by the time she got to page 7, she knew she had to call her lawyer. This email wasn't just an argument or a long-winded explanation. It was filled with financial demands, legal threats, and even discussions about custody. The way PK worded everything made it clear. This wasn't just a rough patch in their marriage, it was the beginning of what could be an ugly and very public separation. Imagine waking up in the middle of the night, groggy and confused, only to see a long email from your husband outlining demands about your finances, your home, and your children. That's exactly what happened to Dorit. She described the email as a barrage, meaning it wasn't just one or two firm statements. It was an overwhelming amount of information, accusations, and conditions. The email detailed how PK expected her to take full responsibility for the mortgage and cover all the bills associated with their house. And if she didn't comply, he would proceed with divorce immediately. Dorit has always maintained a lavish lifestyle, from designer clothes to extravagant vacations. But the idea of suddenly taking on all financial responsibilities shocked her. The fact that PK was making these demands through an email rather than a conversation made it feel all the more cold and calculated. One of the most painful parts of the email was the mention of custody. PK made it clear that their 2 children would also be a point of discussion, and he wasn't backing down. For Dorit, this was the most heartbreaking part. She had always believed that no matter what happened between her and PK, they would prioritize their kids above everything else. The fact that PK was bringing custody into this so early on was a major red flag. In her emotional confessionals, Dorit admitted, "I don't even recognize this man." She never thought he would try to make things this difficult, and she quickly realized that she needed to take action to protect herself and her children. After receiving the email, Dorit turned to one of her closest friends on the show, Erica Jane. And if there's anyone who knows about legal battles, it's Erica. During a tense but honest conversation, Erica gave Dorit some of the most straightforward advice we've ever seen on Real Housewives. She told her to stop thinking of PK as her husband and start viewing him as an adversary. "You have to protect yourself," Erica said. "Be proactive. This is not going to be easy." At first, Dorit seemed overwhelmed, but as the conversation continued, something changed. Instead of breaking down, she became determined. She wasn't going to let PK push her into a corner. By the end of the discussion, she declared, "If I have to go to war, I will go to war." That one sentence said everything. Dorit had made up her mind. She was going to fight back. Even with all of her newfound determination, Dorit still had a moment where the reality of the situation hit her. Dorit and PK had been married for 9 years. They had survived financial struggles, lawsuits, and even a terrifying home invasion. She had always believed they would make it through anything together. But now, with this email, it was clear that PK was ready to move on, and he was doing it on his terms. Dorit's tears weren't just about the shock of the email. They were about the realization that her marriage was likely over, and that the person she had spent a decade with was no longer on her side. Ever since Dorit mentioned that page 7 of the email was what made her call her lawyer, fans have been desperate to know what was on it. There are several theories, and none of them are good. Some believe that PK made a shocking confession, maybe about cheating or hidden debts. Others think that he gave Dorit an ultimatum that was worse than just financial responsibility, something that made it clear he was trying to push her into a difficult position. Another theory is that it had something to do with legal issues that Dorit wasn't aware of. Whatever was on page 7, it was bad enough to make her reach out for legal help immediately. As of now, Dorit and PK are reportedly living separately, though they are trying to co-parent their children. Sources close to Dorit say that she has already consulted multiple lawyers and is preparing for the possibility of a full-scale divorce battle. PK, on the other hand, seems to be standing firm on his demands. Their relationship, once glamorous and full of love, has now become a tense, strategic standoff. The question everyone is asking now is, will Dorit actually go through with filing for divorce, or is there any chance of reconciliation? The rest of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills cast has had a lot to say about this situation. Kyle Richards has called it devastating, while Sutton Stracke simply said, "She deserves better." Garcelle Beauvais admitted that she wasn't surprised, saying, "PK has always been controlling." Even Lisa Rinna, who is no longer on the show, couldn't help but comment on Instagram, writing, "Once a cheater, always a cheater." Clearly, a lot of people have opinions on this, but at the end of the day, only Dorit knows what's best for her and her children. This 9-page email was just the beginning. If PK is already making these kinds of demands, things could get even more complicated in the coming months. If Dorit decides to fight back legally, we could see one of the messiest Real Housewives divorces in years. On the other hand, if she and PK somehow reach a settlement, they might be able to avoid a public battle. For now, all we can do is wait and see what Dorit's next move will be. One thing is for sure, this is far from over. What do you think was on page 7 of the email? Do you think Dorit should file for divorce, or is there still hope for her marriage? Let's talk in the comments. And if you want more updates on all the RHOBH drama, don't forget to subscribe.